Personal journal entry, September the 20th. How can I be expected to endure these movies? How can I keep going on with this? I've watched 11 Puppet Master movies now, and there's still 2 to go. I haven't heard a word from the home front or my darling Annabelle in days. Rations are waning, morale is low, and I hear they're canceling casual Fridays. Whoever reads this, pray for me. Hello and welcome to RotD Review of the Day, and today I'm reviewing the 11th installment in the Puppet Master franchise, Puppet Master 10. This is what happens when you decry a movie and declare it non-canonical. It just messes the whole order up. Regardless, this is the second movie in the Axis trilogy, Axis Rising, and my first impression after having watched it is that it addressed a lot of the issues that I had with the previous movie, Axis of Evil. It didn't necessarily fix all of them, but it did attempt and it did address, and I have to praise it for that. And to kind of get into each one of those, let's get into the categories. As always, 4 different categories, each one worth up to 25 points for a total possible score of 100 points. And the plot of this one, I gave an 8 out of 25, about the same as the last one. The storyline was, it continued where the last one left off, which I kind of anticipated. It was the second of a planned trilogy within the franchise, so I figured that those 3 movies would be its own continuing storyline. So far, that seems to be holding true. The main characters from the previous one, having now foiled the weapons manufacturing blow-em-up scheme, are now being praised and lauded by the military, and they have a decision to make whether or not to reveal the nature of the truth of the puppets to the military, who are, they need their help. Meanwhile, the Axis powers are working on their own serum, elixir of life kind of thing for bringing dead soldiers back to life. It's something that we've seen, from Puppet Master 3 before. And ultimately, this leads them down to a territory where the movie turns into puppet versus puppet, which is actually kind of interesting, and I thought it worked pretty well. The dialogue was still really bad. The plot structure still had a lot of missteps to it in terms of timing and motivational points, and ultimately it was good-ish, but definitely not great. So 8 out of 25 on the plot. The intent did get higher than the last one. I gave it a 15 out of 25. This is a lot more true to form for a Puppet Master movie, and I did have a lot more fun with it. And that was something that I mentioned was missing from the last one, was a sense of fun. The puppets in the last one were way too static, and in this one, they addressed it. They didn't fix it. They are moving more. They are doing more pantomime communication with the humans. They're engaging more. It felt more like the puppets that I fell in love with, even if there still wasn't a whole lot of stop motion. It still wasn't terribly expressively animated, but it was better. I'll say that. It was absolutely better, and I have to give it some points for addressing those issues. And in doing so, it did make for a fun Puppet Master movie. And this is not something that's trying to be scary. If it ever did, it has certainly gone out the window a long time ago. And so you have to kind of think what the intention of this is, besides just making money. And what it definitely should be at all points is fun. And I got that sense out of this one again. So major kudos for them on addressing that. The acting also got a little bit higher, and it's not that it got a whole lot better. I gave it 8 out of 25. My big issue with the acting on the last one was the performance of the Dragon Lady. I said that kind of really drug it down a bit. Well, not to get too spoilery, I mean, it does happen pretty much in the beginning of the movie, like in the first 5-10 minutes or so, so I don't really consider it spoilers, but the Dragon Lady gets it. So the rest of the movie is cheesy, hammy acting all the way through with a wink and a smile, not great acting at all. But certainly more fun without a whole lot dragging it down. So yeah, 8 out of 25. I feel pretty confident giving it that. And the technical, again, the puppetry was better. It was a little bit more animated. You didn't have, when you had a scene where a human was talking to a puppet and the other 4 or 5 or whatever were in the background, at the very least, they were kind of making some movements, even if they weren't, a lot of expressive or anything. They were at least moving at some point. They weren't just completely standing still. So the puppetry did get better. It still wasn't great, but I think that the camera work and the color palette and everything that had worked well in the previous movie did carry over into this one, and it didn't have the abysmal puppet wrangling dragging it down. So I gave it 12 out of 25 points. Overall, this is kind of more what I've come to expect and want out of a Puppet Master movie. I would still prefer, more kills, more gore, but that's just me, and that's my sense of sadism in watching these movies, even if doing so is a exercise in masochism. So, total score of 40 out of 100 points. I am dearly looking forward to watching the next installment and finding out how this trilogy winds up wrapping up. And from there, it's on to the remake, and then it's done. The Puppet Master series will be wrapped up. 2 more movies to go. I welcome you to join me, and next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.